Hey guys, I am live today. So, as you guys know, I am no longer doing my Friday night pajama parties, which I know a lot of you guys truly enjoyed, and I enjoyed doing them too. So, I am sad about that. But what somebody in my private Facebook group suggested was that I start doing like a morning version of that. So, this is it. This is the morning version of that. This is episode 1 of Coffee with Mina, and today I didn't plan out a whole video like I typically do with these, and I will be doing that in the future, but what I really wanted to do was just come on here and sort of go into detail of my last 4 or 5 videos, which have been about feminine energy, how to be a high value woman. I actually did a shorter video on this topic a few days ago, and I wanted to go into depth on that because I think it's a very important topic for us to discuss, not only as, women over 35, but I think this is an important topic to discuss for younger women because this has so much to do with self-esteem and being comfortable with who you are and accepting all of your faults and all of your beauty and imperfections. And I'm really excited about talking about this. And as I'm studying this more, every time I read something or I learn something new, my first thought is, oh my God, my daughter needs to learn this. I wish I knew this when I was a teenager, My daughter's 3, but I want to be able to teach her these things from the start so that she is a confident, self-assured, feminine, powerful, strong woman, and she's comfortable with all of her being, her imperfections and everything else. So that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this topic with you guys, because it's such an important topic for women and also for men, I feel like, because we're teaching our boys, our children, to be confused about what it means to be feminine and what it means to take care of a woman and love a woman. So I'm really excited about that. Good morning, guys. Let's see. We've got Sharisha, Sexy Lexi, Arva, Natalie, Patrice, Alexis. Good morning, everyone. I am so super psyched out today to be bringing this. This was such a great idea. Somebody actually recommended this idea in my Facebook group that let's just do like a morning version of that. So how to be a high value woman. Let's start there, and I will be taking questions and a lot of comments, and please, this is supposed to be interactive. That's why I do these live, because I like participation from you guys. I don't want this to be a one-sided thing. This has to flow. So keep those comments and questions coming. To me, let's start with what's not high value. I think what happens when there's this concept of, well, fake it till you make it, which on some level I can understand. I myself have said that, on some regard on my channel for some things regarding confidence. But if you are not a true high value woman and you're just faking it, oftentimes people can see that. They can see right through that. They can feel your negative energy. They can feel that you are faking it if you're not doing it from an authentic place. In my own life, what I've seen is that women who are trying to pretend to be high value, confident, and self-assured, they may be dressing a certain way and they may be really loud and they may be leading conversations and pretending to be very self-assured, but a lot of times their conversations are geared towards putting other women down, putting other people down, and I guess that's how they feed into their self-esteem, by putting other people down and making it seem like, for example, I have people in my own life, females, where they are working on their self-esteem or their confidence, and the way that they're working on it is that they come really loud and overly happy, and they let me give you an example of that. A great example of that is that they can't be good at something unless other women are bad at it as well. So there's a difference, right? Let's say that you're proud that you're a great cook, and people compliment you on being a good cook. This is something that you are improving, you're working on, you're known for. That's one thing, right? And then there's people that they can only be a good cook if other people are bad cooks. So I had an incident, I've had several of these recently, where I complimented a female friend of mine on her cooking in front of, a lot of people. It was a party, and she immediately, her response to that was saying, I know your cooking is awful, or you make this thing really bad. I'm glad that you like mine. And I thought that was a very strange response to a compliment to her obviously gifted, cooking. So that's where I think it comes across as that's not authentically confident. Because if you are really secure in yourself and you're high value and you feel good about your accomplishments, then you don't need to put other people down to be, Mimi, this is really super hot tea, hot coffee, you have to be careful, okay? Then you'd have no need of putting other people down, if that makes sense. This is something that I taught my son a few years ago. We were having a conversation on the difference between being happy and proud of your own achievements for what they are versus only being happy about something that you've achieved as long as other people have not gotten them, or as long as other people are worse than you. So this is something that I think it's important to teach our daughters, our sons, everybody, that there's a great saying about it, and I'm completely zoning out of it. I'm blacking out on it. I wish I had written this down, but if any of you guys know what I'm talking about, do let me know. But there's a saying about that your achievements should not depend on other people's failures, right? If you are a self-assured, confident woman or man, I think this goes for either gender, then it shouldn't matter that other people, for example, if you're the type of person that's only beautiful if other people are ugly, then that's not true confidence. That's not true beauty. Because inner and outer beauty is and confidence is somebody that can see the beauty in everybody, and they can see the beauty in every situation, and they can be self-assured and confident regardless of what is happening around them with other people. So that's where I really truly believe that being a high value woman is not something that I can tell you 5 traits and you grab them and you just follow them through, pretend to follow them. It's not a script. It's really truly working from the inside out, working through your hang-ups as a child, working through your roadblocks, your mental blocks, the negative language that you tell yourself, working through all of the subconscious beliefs that we have, come to acquire since birth. All the things that we go through, they leave lasting impressions and negative blocks in our mind that prevent us from living our truest, most fabulous life. So I really think that it starts with your inner work. And if you're not ready to go through that inner work and you're just here, just like fake it till you make it, well, you may be successful in that because it may help you build on confidence. But if you're the type of person that needs to step on other people to grab that confidence from them, feed off of that, people can see right through that. So there is true feminine energy and there's fake feminine energy. Express revealed, hi. Coffee with Mina, saw the suggestion on Facebook, love it. Good morning, everyone. I hate coffee, having water. Awesome. I love you too. I'm having my decaf coffee. I already had my actual coffee this morning. Alexis said, very good topic for our children. Confidence comes from within and shouldn't be based on someone else's lack of confidence. I have been working on this with my daughter as well. Yes, Alexis. I think us as adults need to work on this. I see this all around me, and especially with women. I think women are super good at putting other people down to kind of feed off of that. And people who are mature, who have done the inner work, can see right through that. I have been in presence of, and here's my thing, when I'm with a friend of mine, and let's say that she's not putting me down or she's not saying anything negative about me, but if she's having negative conversations to me about other women or about any other person, my first thought is that I cannot trust this person, because the minute that I leave, she may be having this conversation with another friend and she may be talking about me. So that's where really a high value woman is not just about attracting a man or, improving your relationship with your husband or whatever we have been talking about. It's really about being a secure, radiant person. One of the things that I've really seen, and which I've been trying to say here, is that people can see right through the fakeness. People can see when you're being authentic. I can feel it in other people. There are people in my life where the minute I come in contact with them, I can see my energy shift because they haven't said anything yet, but there's just this energy. And I've been really tuning into that and sort of trying to figure out why is it that in certain people's presence I feel very negative energy. And the reason is because they're faking confidence and self-assurance and feeling good about themselves through putting other people down. Sometimes me, sometimes my children, sometimes other people that we know, but it gives me that energy that this person is not authentic, this person cannot be trusted, and this is not an honest person. You know, there's been so many studies done. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. I am a communications major. My degree is in communication, so this is a very interesting and important topic to me. It's one that I value a lot. But they say that only 7% of our communication is verbal. So what we're saying, it's only 7% of what people are listening or tuning into. The rest of it is nonverbal communication, our body language, our tone of voice, and energy, all of that energy. And because this is something that I have done professionally, like in my schooling career, and this is what I do as a life coach, I can see why I'm very much in tune with that. I can feel when people are saying one thing, but their behavior and their energy is saying something very different. And I think all of us have that just as human beings. It's a survival mechanism. Think about it. You know, we need to be able to read if somebody's not being honest with us, because back in the day, that meant the difference between living or not living. So I can see where that would be a very important topic. So where do you start with being a high value woman? Definitely you start with inner work. So I know that a couple of you guys asked what books to read on this topic. So I have right now, as you guys know, because of Hurricane Harvey, we lost our library and the 4 closest libraries near me. So I don't have access to a library anymore, or Hoopla, because they took away that account as well. I don't know, due to funding. So I ordered a whole bunch of used books on eBay on this topic of feminine energy and just feminine energy, basically. So I haven't started reading up on that. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, YouTube channels from other life coaches that specialize in this topic. And boy, am I learning so much. Just amazingly talented women out there that are actually teaching this stuff. So that's what I've been doing right now. When the books come and I read those books, I can better recommend it. I will, however, say that before you start reading books on feminine energy or relationships, the number one sort of genre I would ask you to touch, if you need to do that inner work, which I think we all do. I'm a lifelong learner. I always say I'm going to be learning and growing until the day that I die. That's just who I am. I'm proud of that in myself. I say begin with reading childhood or parenting books, because we all have a inner wounded child in us. I think that's where you need to like really go back, like way back to your childhood days, and kind of heal some of those hurts and heal some of those basically wounds that we have been carrying within us, so that we can move forward. So I would say start with your own childhood years. And the positive of that is that if you have children, or if you're planning on having children, then that also helps you with that. So start there. So I would highly recommend the book The Conscious Parent from Dr. Shefali. She is one of my favorites. I absolutely love that book. That will really help you deal with a lot of those inner issues that you may be carrying consciously or subconsciously within you. So start there. After that, I would go into really deep inner work books. So anything by Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. I highly, highly, highly recommend the books. She has 4 books now. Brene Brown. She is a local Houston researcher, and I think her TED Talk is one of the 5 most viewed TED Talks in the world. She is a researcher on vulnerability, shame, and courage. Amazing, amazing work. I recommend all 4 of her books. Grab them, read them, reread them. This is really going to help you do that inner work And then when you have arrived as a clean slate, as your authentic self, as a person that is just being, not peacocking, not doing, not pretending to be this ideal version of yourself, just being who you truly are, now we can start the work on relationships, on attracting that ideal person, on attracting that ideal career, on being a high value woman. So it really starts with undoing a lot of that damage that we may have been done to us, or we have ourselves done through our childhood. And it's not about laying blame on our parents. It's not about laying blame on our teachers or anybody else. It's just about taking ownership of the fact that this is life, and everybody goes through certain things, and everybody has certain hang-ups, and we ourselves have hang-ups that we now bring into our relationships, into our parenting, into our careers, and watch out for those and work through them. Hi, Alexa. She said, what about the concept fake it till you make it? I have been trying to be more womanly after 23 years in the male energy workforce. I am now retired and trying to be more feminine as a housewife. So Alexa, I touched on that a little bit. So there's fake feminine energy and there's real feminine energy. And fake it till you make it works if you are actively doing the inner work and just trying to place yourself into feminine energy, but it only takes you so far. Because if you haven't done the inner work and you are an insecure person trying to be feminine, let me show you what that looks like from my point of view, what I have seen. So I have seen people that I know to be tomboys or very masculine energy women, and they all of a sudden decide that they're going to be more feminine. They don't know feminine energy. They don't know what that means. They just go and buy a whole bunch of makeup. They buy amazing, outfits and jewelry and stuff, which is one tiny piece of the puzzle. And all of a sudden they go from being tomboys with masculine energy and they start dressing super feminine and acting very high confidence and very feminine. And the minute that they are in the presence of women that are maybe more attractive or similarly attractive to them, or maybe more confident, or any level of woman in their presence, all of a sudden, because they haven't done the inner work, they're triggered by that. And what I see is that not only in my presence, but in other women's presence, they will start either peacocking, they will start putting other women down, or that woman down, the one they're talking to. They will get very judgmental because something within them is being triggered. So when you say fake it till you make it, I think it means different things. I'm sure you're not meaning the one that I'm talking about, but this is where, if you think that just being feminine just means dressing a certain way, acting a certain way, it will only get you so far, right? So let me tell you how I'm acting feminine and how it helped me. So I've always dressed very feminine. I've always put up, a face of makeup, hair, but I was leading a very masculine life. So what I'm doing by acting feminine is learning what does feminine energy really mean, and then switching over to that in the evening when I'm done with my business, when I'm done with all the things that I need to do in my masculine energy, and working through that in my mind. So anytime I notice that there's masculine energy creeping up in conversations, or I'm being triggered, I remind myself and go back into the feminine of just being and not doing. So the masculine energy lives in your head, and the feminine energy lives in your heart and in your hips. So I take myself out of my head and lower myself down to just be and relax. So that's, to me, that's kind of faking it, because I'm still learning it, right? And I'm learning how to be. Now, the other part of faking it that I've seen is that women who act super confident by telling you all of their achievements, all of their accomplished masculine energy, right? And by putting other people down, by being super judgmental. And to me, I try not to be triggered by that in other women's presence, and I stay calm. And this is something that I've told you guys for years, even before I knew about feminine energy. I disable my push buttons. But what it happens is that woman, if she is in the presence of other men, first of all, even other women, they will look at that woman and say, okay, note to self, that woman is not a trustworthy person. She's not confident. She's not a true woman. She's not true feminine energy. And what men will notice is that I am not safe with that woman, because if she's judging other women and other people, she will judge me. My true self is not safe with her. So that's kind of my disclaimer on fake it till you make it. Alexa said, going back to go forward. So true. I have a lot of inner issues from childhood that I see manifest itself from time to time. Alexa's girlfriend, you and I both. I think we all do. There has been... Alexa, let's go. I'm going to take what Alexa said and what Alex said, and let's merge them. Here's a great example of what you said, fake it till you make it. So Alexis and Alex and everybody. So you guys know I've mentioned before that I was molested when I was a little girl, and that is my first memory of my childhood. And as I got older, the first person that I was truly able to have this conversation with, truly have this conversation with, without being judged or shamed or anything, was a professor at Northwestern University. He was a professor that I took human sexuality class with, and it was a class on sexuality and homophobia and all sorts of just basically sexuality. And there was something that he said about children being molested in childhood that made me really open up to him privately and talk to him. And he gave me some insight on that. And he told me the fact that you're sitting here at Northwestern University, this, career woman, business owner, having this, this go-getter in life, so young in age, is, you need to just move past that and let that be. And don't let that affect you. And I really appreciated him being open with me and giving me the vulnerability to have this conversation with him. So what I did from that information was that it doesn't matter that happened to me. I repressed it, I put it away. It didn't bother me, I just put it away. Now that does not mean that it hasn't impacted my relationships. I'm pretty aware now that I'm doing this inner work that it has definitely impacted my relationships. It has made me in some way not trust men. Even, my amazing husband that I'm married to, in some way in the back of my mind, I haven't trusted him fully because of that experience that I had as and it was a babysitter. So it was somebody that I was, left in authority with, an authority figure taking advantage of the situation. So as you can see, it's really... Now, one way, Alex, would have been just fake it till you make it. I'm not bothered by that. I'm over that. Like my professor said, I've come a long way, But one way is to go back into my childhood and sit with that and say, you know what? I was taken advantage of. I was a child and I'm hurt by that, and sit with those feelings, not let them overpower my life. Definitely not let them ruin my life, but feel those feelings so that I can truly move past them versus just hiding them and sweeping them under the rug. So that's where my problem with faking it comes in, is that if you're faking it while you're doing the inner work and moving towards it, I have no problem with that. I tell my son that all the time. That if you're going to fake confident, make sure you're working at the real deal too, because you can only fake it so much. You can fake it until somebody else triggers you, and then all of that starts to come right back up because you haven't worked through it. So if you're going to fake through something, awesome. I've done that myself, but make sure you're actually doing the authentic, vulnerable, real work as well. So that's where, Alexis, where I'm going back, is I'm starting with my earliest childhood memory and really working through those feelings and say that was not okay. Yes, I turned out okay. Yes, I'm a stronger person now, and I'm based on my own qualifications of what success looks like. I consider myself a successful, happy, grounded person. That does not mean that was okay and that my feelings are not validated. So I'm going back and doing that childhood work now. True Beauty said, hi Mina, so happy you liked the idea. I'm Sarah L on Attract. Oh, awesome. I did not realize that was you. Awesome, True Beauty. Thank you so much for recommending it. I was just really thinking about how to bring that pajama party back to the daytime, and this was the best idea. Thank you so much. Alexis said, and some of our childhood issues also stem from the environment, society, generational issues. Definitely no need to place blame when there is so many factors. Absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of things that I blamed my parents for as I was growing up, now as a parent of 3 children, I get it. It's tough, right? And no matter how much I love my children or how much I want to do the best for them, at the end of the day, I am a flawed human being that's bringing a lot of my own baggage into this relationship with my kids. And I'm sure that I'm screwing them up too, but it's not with ill intention. I'm doing the best that I could. I'm reading up on it. I'm learning. I'm growing. And I think the best thing that we can do as parents is be open-minded and be willing to change and being willing to realize and recognize when we are wrong. Not to blame ourselves, not to shame ourselves, but to be able to say, you know what? I did the best I could with the information that I had available at that time. Alina, baby cakes, don't jump so close to that table, please. Okay, you can move the pillows on this side and jump over here. Not close to the table. You remember Armand got hurt? Move over here. So, but recognizing that there's more information available. I have changed. I'm growing every year. I have this new information. And sometimes I will go back to my children and say, that conversation we had last year and I said this to you, I'm not sure that I gave you the right information. This is what I'm thinking now with the new information that I have available. What do you think? And bring your children into the parenting sort of realm and break that wall. I think a lot of parents are afraid to do that because they think that they lose their sense of authority. But I don't think that there's anything, personally, I don't find anything wrong with it with my children, because I feel like it gives me a great insight into what they're seeing, what their perception is of parenting and relationships, and it gives them ownership of their own parenting in some weird way, if that makes sense. And sometimes my son will come back to me and say, you know what, no, actually that answer at that time helped me. And I thought that it came from an authentic place. Why do you think that you would have said this? And it opens up this discussion. And hopefully that, if nothing else, teaches them to be better parents when they're ready for that. Alex said, yes, that's what I mean. Getting out of my head and try not to be the grumpy supervisor. Oh, Alex, this is a tough one. Ooh, this is one it's taking a lot of energy from me to have to do. And part of it is because I've shared with you guys, since I was little, I was the oldest of 3, and I have always been told, you are the oldest, if your brother breaks something, you are responsible. If your sister does something bad, you are responsible. You are supposed to be watching them. You're supposed to be taking care of them. So I became this micromanager because I knew that if XYD, somebody did something, it's my fault. My reputation, my name is on the line. I'm going to get punished. So I became this micromanager of every situation. And now I married this amazing man that's fully capable of running himself, right? Perfectly capable. And here I am micromanaging every little thing that he does. And I think a lot of it just, Alexis, like you said, it comes from our society too. Like we see commercials and movies where I'm all about, female empowerment and women feeling great about themselves. I'm all about that. At the same time, I think a lot of people interpret them as putting men down, or again, it's that fake energy, right? So I want both genders to be fully empowered and fully authentic and show up to be who they are, right? But I think a lot of people think that the only way women can be raised up is to put men down. And I see that in commercials where we see the goofy dad, that makes a mess with the kids that the mom now has to come and clean up, or the goofy dad that buys the wrong thing. And the video that I put out yesterday, where I am saying now how I'm leaning back and observing, and I've noticed that when I'm not constantly jumping into Irfan's conversation with our children or his parenting, even if it differs from my own, I'm noticing this whole other side of him, and just leaning in and listening without having to constantly think of the next thing that I'm going to say as soon as he's quiet, right? Or fixing any of the parenting mistakes that he makes. That is not my job. His relationship with his kids, it's not my responsibility, right? And so I'm just leaning back and observing. And the more I'm observing, the more I'm learning that men are fully capable in their masculine energy to be amazing fathers. They don't need to be micromanaged by us. In fact, they bring a different realm to the parenting paradigm that we are not capable of fully doing. No matter how much I may be in my masculine energy, I can't teach my sons how to be a man the way that my husband can teach them how to be a man. The way that he can father our daughter, I can't do in my masculine energy. So I don't need to be micromanaging that. I need to trust the man that I married to be fully capable of being able to do that without my interference. And it's taken some work. Again, going back to the childhood thing of micromanaging my siblings, I'm having to step back and just observe. And I'm learning so much through just observing, not only about myself. Here's a great thing about leaning back and observing as a high value woman. You realize when you're observing that there's certain things that come up that really trigger you. And instead of jumping in conversation, I'm like, ooh, that felt odd. My husband saying that to my son, what was triggered right now? What happened? And so I'm able to sit with that feeling and really analyze, does this have anything to do with my own childhood? Why did that feel the way that it felt right now? Now, I wouldn't have never noticed that if I was just chatting away. The minute that they were having a conversation, I jumped in, I micromanaged, then I missed at that. So when you lean back and you observe other people in conversation and let your man lead the conversation or lead the relationship, even if there's awkward silences, look out for that. Look out for what triggers you. Does silence trigger you? Does him walking away and leaving the room trigger you? Do you have abandonment issues? These things are so important because they're important not to lay blame, but to be like, I haven't done all the inner work yet, have I? I still have triggers. I still have things I need to clearly go back to and work through. Hi, Stephanie. Jasmine, she said, hi, I'm so happy to catch you live for a little while. Just recently heard a twist on the quote, faith it till you make it. Have faith and trust you will move toward positively. Oh, Jasmine, I love that. I love that. Faith it till you make it. That's that whole surrender thing that I'm learning now as feminine energy. Just being able to surrender and trust the universe, trust God, trust my spouse, and just be instead of doing. Jasmine, I love that so much. That needs to be like tweeted out. There's this amazing YouTuber here. She's a life coach on feminine energy. Her name is Candace Onita. And she had shared this story that I must share because it reminds me, something about that quote reminds me of that. So it's the different, so you know how I was talking about doing versus being, right? Masculine energy is doing all the time, running in our head. And feminine energy is just being. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't channel our masculine energy during the day when we have to do things. I definitely do that. But then there's a time in my day where I'm just being. So she tells the story of there's two men sitting down and looking up at the heavens and saying, I wonder what the angels do all day. I wonder what the angels do. And there's two angels up in heaven looking down at the humans and saying, I wonder what the humans be all day. I wonder what the humans be. So that's such a great story. I think it's because the angels are us women and the men are, men, and they're all about doing. What do you do? Hi, nice to meet you. What do you do? And the angels, it's more about just being. I am not worthy because I do this. I am not worthy because I, for example, I'm not worthy because I'm a life coach or that I went to a certain school or I know I have this information or any of those. I am just worthy because I am. I'm worthy. I'm being. I can just be. I'm whole, I'm complete, and my qualifications and my titles, they do not complete me. I am just worthy because I am. I don't know what it was about that quote. It has nothing to do with this, but it reminded me of that story. And I thank Candace Onita for sharing that because it really helped me really realize what doing versus being was. And today's society, the minute we meet somebody, we shake their hand. Hi, we're talking. The first thing that comes is, what do you do? What do you do? And that's that masculine energy. Let's see. Did I miss Sam? Let's see. Okay. Alexis said, I'm the oldest as well and was told the same thing growing up. And my husband and I have had scribbles over me interviewing when he is disciplining our girls or just managing day to day. I can so relate to that, Alex. I will jump right in. And now it's taking every bit of energy in me. I'm not even going to come here and lie to you guys that I have somehow perfected this. No, ma'am. I notice it every day. When my husband is talking to the kids or he's asking them something, I have this strange urge to just jumping, and I'm like, no, Mina, lean back and observe. And that's what I've been doing, and I'm learning so much from him. So much. I'm learning how to relax. My husband last night made the comments. He said, you seem so much more relaxed. Yes, because I'm not having to micromanage the whole world. I am relaxed, right? I did myself a huge favor, and him. But just trusting. I keep saying to myself, you made a love list and you attracted a man into your life that matched that love list to a T. So where in that point did you lose trust that he was capable of fully running himself? Why do you have to micromanage anything, right? And so I'm just trusting, leaning back, letting go, going with the flow, and surrendering to life. Rochelle Davis said, yes, I don't like how they portray fathers and dads in TVs and movies. Yes, I mean, my dad was the type of dad that changed diapers, fed us. He did all of the typically female roles. And so I grew up with him cooking and clean. In fact, I hate to admit this, he was better at a lot of that stuff than my mom was. She was very masculine energy. So then when I married, Irfan, he's from day one changed diapers. He stayed up with stayed up with the kids when they were babies. I mean, he is my true partner as a parent. So how dare I try to micromanage his conversations with the kids? And I was totally doing this subconsciously on some level. I don't know why, but I'm working through that, and it's opened up my eyes to how that was impacting. Through my actions, I was telling him that I do not trust you as a parent. And some of that is just society telling us that dads can't get it right and that moms have to step in and save the day. Alex said, we were on the same page on that, but what do you do when they drop the ball? Yesterday, I was at a PTA meeting. I trusted him with homework. This morning, homework was not completed. Grumpy supervisor appeared. Alex, this is an interesting one, and I can answer that for you, but I'll have to give you a slightly different example. So if you guys remember the book that I just recommended, The Conscious Parent by Dr. Shefali, I'm blanking on her last name. I think it's Tilbury. But she talks about how when we're parenting our children to lead with natural consequences. So a fake consequence of doing something let's say of messing up to a child is putting them in the corner, right? Therefore, we are an authority figure and we are obviously punishing them by putting them in the corner. And what Dr. Shefali says is that children don't realize, depending on their ages, why they're being punished. They just remember you being mean and punishing them. They don't necessarily know what they did wrong. They forget about that, but they remember the punishment. And the natural consequence of them, okay, for example, let's say, I think this is an example that Dr. Shefali herself said that if you have a child, an 8-year-old child that keeps leaving their light on there, and I'll get to the why this is an important story for marriage. So you keep telling them, Jennifer, turn the light off. You left the light on, and you keep telling them and you keep punishing them, but they keep turning the light on. So that's not helping. Threatening them, punishing them, it's not helping. They keep leaving the light on. How many of guys have been through that? A natural consequence would be like taking out their light bulb without them knowing, and then when they turn off their light, there's no light, and they're like, oh, there's no light, and you say, oh, I kept telling you to turn off the light. I guess the electricity must have been turned off, or the light bulb must have ran out because you kept leaving it on. And letting them be and sit with that for a day or two, and then they realize that that's a natural consequence of leaving the light on. So that's kind of an example. Let me give you something that happened in my own life last week. So there's a place on my kitchen counter where everybody keeps dumping stuff, and it drives me crazy because it makes the home and living room look super messy and cluttered, and I hate that. And I keep always telling people to move stuff away from them. I keep moving stuff away, and then they're always looking for them. So it's one of those spaces. There's a place directly on top of that counter where if I'm washing dishes, that whatever item is there gets wet. So when my children put their homework papers on their papers for me to sign, it drives me nuts because that paper gets wet. So I kept saying to my children, move your stuff, it's gonna get wet, it's gonna get wet. Okay, nobody ever moves it. Now my husband, because of the changes that we've made where we moved upstairs for my, leaving the downstairs bedroom for my mother-in-law, there's some things that have been misplaced. So my husband kept putting his work phone right on that counter. And my first reaction was to tell him. So I told him, hey, hon, don't put your phone there. Whatever we put there gets wet when I'm washing the dishes. And I noticed that his energy changed a little bit. He didn't say anything, but I noticed that something in him was invoked when I said that. It was triggered. I felt like he had this face for a second where, okay, you're being mom again. It was this weirdest energy shift, and that was it. So the next day, he did it again. And I had two options. I can tell him to move his phone, discipline him basically, right? I can move it for him. Again, that's disciplining him. Or natural consequence, I can let some water splatter on there naturally, not on purpose, and just let it be and let him learn that through his natural consequence. Now, this is his work phone, a very expensive device that's been given to him through his work. So I was washing the dishes super carefully because I was like, I don't want to tell him, I don't want to move it for him. But I noticed 30 minutes later, he came and he was looking at his phone and he noticed a little thing of water on it and he moved it. So that's where natural consequences. So Alex, back to your thing. If that happened to me, one way would be let him, say to him, look, you didn't do the homework, now I have to do it, or let it go. Let it be a natural consequence that the kids just don't get their homework done that day. Or if you want to help them do it in the morning, you help them do it, but you do it with the intention of, you know what, this was dad's job and he dropped the ball, and let the grades reflect that. Let the children tell your husband, but you don't become the mother. You don't mother him. You let it be a natural consequence. This is how I'm dealing with it. Now, this is just one answer. If you guys have any other tips on that, I would be very curious to learn that. But this is basically how I've been dealing with it, is that let there be a natural consequence, because those are the best teachers. So him actually getting his phone a little wet is a way better learning experience, and a way better, I better not put my phone here, than me constantly mothering him and saying, hey, move your phone, it's gonna get wet, move your phone. And I've done the same thing with my children, is that when they put their papers there for me to sign, instead of telling them to move the paper, instead of trying to move the paper with my wet hands, because at this point I'm already washing the dishes, I let the papers get wet. And then when they touch it, they're like, oh, my paper got wet. Oh, it did? Next time they will remember not to put their paper there. So I highly recommend that book by Dr. Shefali. Alex said, I don't mean to do it, but it becomes so easily because I micromanage my sisters as the oldest. I can see how it affects my husband. Being a single parent before being married also plays a role. Yes, Alexis, it seems like you and I have sort of had the same timeline. Yes, definitely needed to micromanage my siblings when I was growing up, because I got punished for when they did things wrong. And then when I was a single mom, I had to micromanage my life to a T. And then now I keep saying to myself, it's your time to relax. Just relax and lean back and surrender. And things will spill, Papers will get wet, husbands will make mistake, homework won't get done, but surrender to life. This is something I say to my son all the time when he's upset with something, about something. And now I'm telling this, it's easier to give people advice than to take it sometimes. So when my seventh grader is upset about something, I say to him, right now this seems like the biggest ordeal in your life, right? But I'm like, you remember that time in third grade where XYZ happened? And he's like, no. I'm like, exactly. At that time, you came crying to me because that was the biggest ordeal, and you felt like your life was just not going to move forward because this one thing happened. And you don't even remember it now. So like this, it's when something is happening to you in the present, it seems like it's the biggest thing and it's life changing and it will ruin you or it will affect you in some big way. And it may or it may not, but you have the rest of your life to live, and this is just one little thing in one moment of time. And it can mean something big if you turn it into something big, but it can be equally as insignificant. So right now, my husband spilling something or my daughter spilling something, it's like, oh man, like I have to go clean that. But I will forget that spilled milk, but my husband may remember me scolding him for it. So is that really worth me ruining my relationship or my energy with him over? And I keep reminding him that same advice that I give my son, that this is just a small moment of the rest of your life, like of this long, exciting life. Like, will you let this define you? Will you let this ruin everything that you have worked hard for, that what you stand for? And so that's what I'm digging deep for now, is that, does it matter if my husband forgets to get the homework done with the kids, or he makes their breakfast the wrong way? Or does it matter that the fact that he's doing it? Like, is that enough? And children don't just need one type of parenting, my type, the perfect type, right? They need the other contrast to that to get the full range. And we learn so much from them, to just relax and lean back. And one thing that I've noticed is that the more I'm allowing them to be, by surrendering, the more they are stepping up to how I think they should be behaving, right? So I think if you give them the space, they will in time really come through, I promise you. But it's just because they've been used to being micromanaged, so they're a little shaky. It's just like if somebody was constantly watching and criticizing your every move, if they stepped away, it would take you a minute to get your grounding, right? Because you would have, yes? Okay, come here. Let me tell you in your ear. Come here. Okay, can you wait 5 minutes and I'll do it? Or you want to go do it? Okay. Yeah, that's okay. You want to wait? Okay, go do it. Can you go do it?
No, because there's 5.
Okay. All right, guys. I don't want to end this live chat, but I have to take care of something for my daughter. If you guys can bear it with me, I apologize sincerely. I am a mom working from home. I'm going to go take care of something for her real quick, and I will be back, and I will be taking more questions. I'll be right back. I sincerely apologize. If you guys can let people know in the chat that I will be right back. Mimi, come here, baby cakes. Yeah, I'm still live, so come here fast. Okay, guys, I'm sincerely sorry about that. Mom duty. So let's see. What question was I reading? Express Reveal said, I used to intervene and judge too in parenting. Definitely masculine energy, the need to control. A touch of arrogance in there too, I think. I consciously stop myself from doing that now. Yes, Express, and thank you so much for admitting to that, because I think that's the first step, is being aware of it. I became aware of it before I found this feminine energy stuff by my husband's reaction. I could see, he would never say anything, but I could see this sort of shift in his energy every time I tried to do that with him. And now I place myself in that situation. Like, how would that make me feel? If somebody was constantly micromanaging me or judging me or criticizing me. And I have had people do that in my own life, and it does not feel good. So I'm so glad that I'm become aware of this, as have you. And it does take some work in the beginning, because we've been used to doing it for so long, to stop ourselves. And if when people do that to me now, like, oh, you're not going to be able to do that, or you can't do this, I just say, well, I may just surprise you. I may just prove you wrong, or something like that, to make them aware of it. Because I think just like we give ourselves the benefit of the doubt that we didn't know, I like to give that to other people, that maybe they're doing it unconsciously as well. Rochelle said, I'm learning how to step back myself and not micromanaging everything. I feel like with 5 kids, 5 years and under, I have to run a tight ship, and it's hard to turn that off. And I feel you. That's the true question, right? It's like how to toggle back and forth, because again, it's not about denying our masculine energy. We need it to function. If you have 5 kids under 5 years, oh boy, do you need your masculine energy. But we also need the feminine energy. So it's not about denying the masculine, it's about embracing both and finding that balance. And balance here, unfortunately, if you're a female, is not 50-50. It's actually like 70-30. Because a lot of times what's happening is that children need their moms to have a balance of masculine and feminine energy, but they need more feminine energy from them. That is the mothering role, right? It's nurturing, it's flowing, it's being able to lean back and like go with the flow, also be authoritative and have that masculine energy too. But I'm realizing that I was throwing my children off by being always in my masculine energy, because then they're not getting that feminine essence as much. And now that I'm leaning back and bringing more of the feminine, even my children are behaving differently and reacting differently. And it's a learning curve for all of us. But one thing that's come up quite a bit is that people keep saying that I seem more relaxed. And it's very interesting how people can pick up on that energy, because it's like a burden off my shoulders. Like, I don't have to micromanage the world. I don't have to fix the world. So I can just be who I am. Abiksha said, you are my definition of perfect. I adore you to the core. Your transition, your self-love and self-care agenda, everything. Love you, Mina. Learned so much from you. Thanks to the universe that I found you. Oh, Abiksha, that is such a great compliment, but I am far from perfect, far from it. But thank you so much for showing me so much love today. And I'm just so grateful that I'm able to share this journey with you guys, with all of the imperfections. I'm by no means perfect, but I'm doing the inner work and learning and growing along with you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that comment. Let's see. Patrice said, when I was a manager to a much older man, more than twice my age, I realized that to earn his respect, it was more effective to learn from his experience instead of trying to prove my authority. Ooh, I love that. I love that. It was more effective to learn from his experience instead of always trying to prove my authority. This is very interesting, Patrice. So you guys know I'm reading this book currently. I'm on the last chapter. It's called You Are a Badass. And she talks about this concept in there about how when you are a beginner at something, you have all the possibilities available to you. But when you're an expert in something, you're very limited. Because you think you're an expert, you're very much like you're like constrained by your expertness, I guess. And so that's very interesting that you say that, because it kind of goes in tune with that. I like that. Good morning, enjoying life's journey. Let's see. Eva said, I love this. Me too, with the grumpy supervisor mode sometimes. I don't like being the rule maker while he is always being the fun one. Yes. Oh, Eva, you brought up a great point. So this is an interesting point. So when us as women, when we are living in our masculine energy, what happens is that the masculine energy, our husbands or our boyfriends, get really confused because there's a disbalance, and there has to be polarity in a relationship. So basically what works in business or other relationship doesn't necessarily work in romantic relationships. So what they do is that they have to tune into their feminine energy to create the polarity. Sometimes they're doing it as a way to mirror and show you what they want you to be, and sometimes they're just doing it to put everything in balance. If you're carrying the masculine, they almost have to carry the feminine role. And so that's very interesting, because now that I'm being the fun one, the calm one, the flowing, the female energy, fluid, I've noticed that for example, if my children did something that they weren't supposed to, I was always the one kind of like, oh, why did you do this? Like, and I would look at my husband to like kind of jump in, feel free to jump in and parent, and be the authority figure, and he would not jump in. He would from his point of view, he's probably like, you got this, right? Because you're already screaming, right? So he would just stay quiet, and it would piss me off, because I'm like, hello, like, leave all the dirty work to me. Why don't you, like the disciplining part. And so I've noticed that now when something happens and I don't react immediately, I'm just like calm and leaning back and observing, he is very quick to jump in. So it's like that chicken or the egg. Like, one of us is going to have to shut that down to give the other one the permission and the space to move on. Why is he going to do something or take over something I've already started? So it's that trusting and leaning back part as well, and just like letting it be. Hi, Dhruv. Eva said, thanks. She has always done very good with it. Let's see. I think I missed a comment. Let's see. Okay, Eva, sorry, I missed Eva's comment. So Eva said, Alex said before that, thank you, Mina. The concept of natural consequences is a very good one, and I will apply it. It really takes a lot of pressure off, right? Because we're not trying to control the outcome. We're letting Mother Nature, or just like the natural consequences appear. Eva said, what can I do about this with my daughter's teeth though? Natural consequence would be her teeth getting decayed by not brushing them when she goes to bed at night. One thing you can do is that maybe, that's a good one. So maybe make it so that you're consciously like stepping away from her and saying that, oh, you have bad breath or something along those lines. I'm a little confused about that, because I haven't encountered that myself, but maybe this may be one to bring the dentist in with, showing her pictures, or letting the dentist, I'm kind of just thinking off the top of my head, I'm trying to think what I would do. Perhaps letting them see what happens to teeth when you don't, maybe in a little exaggerated way, a natural consequence of what can happen. Of people who don't brush their teeth. I know there's videos on YouTube where you can show them. Maybe some of you guys can say as well, like what can happen, the process. Like right now, you yelling at them is just like, oh, mom's making me, mom's being annoying, she's making me brush my teeth. But show them the natural consequence of tooth decaying without actually decaying her tooth. You can show them pictures or little maybe fun cartoon videos of what happens to your teeth if you don't brush them. I think that would be like a good natural consequence right off the top of my head. Alex said, Eva, I got an art piece from Bed Bath & Beyond that said brush daily. Also made a poster of rotten teeth and beautiful teeth in their mirror. I took them to buy toothpaste and toothbrush and paste as before. Alex, that's a good one. So yeah, I would I would personally like show them like maybe a cartoon video geared towards children, age appropriate, that shows them actually what happens to your teeth when you don't brush them. Like Alex said, Eva, maybe getting her a light up musical toothbrush or brushing your teeth with her may help. I did that when my 10-year-old was younger and it was helped her to remember. So I like these tips for remembering to brush, but I think if you really want to leave more of like a lasting, like almost a fear-based tactic, but it's a more natural consequence, right? Is that if you don't brush your teeth, there are actual consequences to that. And so I like the buying toothbrush and brushing with them, but they also like the concept of showing them. It's the difference between do this because I said so as a parent or as a spouse versus saying this is what happens if you don't do this, like these are the consequences, right? So I like really hitting it hard through what can happen if you don't do this. This is something that from my own childhood, I felt like I got punished a lot for things that I wasn't taught to do or taught why I should be doing them. But now as my children, I make sure that they know why I am telling them not to do something. They may get hurt, they may hurt other people, whatever so they need to know. So I'm not coming from a place, stop doing this because I said so. I'm coming from a place is that if you do this, this may happen. That's why I'm telling you not to do this. True Beauty said, I lost the comment. True Beauty said, when you leave a man to make his own mistake without intervening, they will learn more than if we tell them ourselves and intervene. Absolutely. I mean, even us, like how many times have you really learned something from other people just telling you them versus you actually making your own mistakes and being, oh damn, I better not do that again, right? I mean, I think there's both types of people. I've been in both types of situations. Sometimes I watch somebody else make a mistake, so I'm like, remember not to do that for yourself. And sometimes I need to make that mistake, no matter how much other people are telling me not to really not make that mistake ever again. So I'm really leaning back and let me give you guys more examples of this. Like my husband loves to cook, and he's a acts of service guy, right? So that's how he shows his love. He loves to cook for us, and I would get so annoyed in the beginning. Oh, I'm so embarrassed to admit this. Like he would cook something and then he would make a big mess. There was oil everywhere. It would take me like so long to clean up, and in my mind I'm like, it took him 20 minutes to make that. It took me an hour to clean up the mess. I'm exaggerating, but you guys know what I mean. So it's like I could have just not made the mess. And then I found that my energy around when he was cooking was always like, I would start putting stuff up and he would be like, oh wait, I still need that. Or he's cooking here and I'm like under him like cleaning. You guys know what I mean, right? And I'm kind of embarrassed about that now because I feel like it would totally take away from that experience of him doing something out of love for us, with me constantly jumping in and like cleaning up after him. And even if I didn't say something, I think that my actions and the way that the energy I was putting out and the way I was cleaning up while he was cooking and afterwards probably made him think that I wasn't appreciating his love. And now, yes, I still have to sometimes clean up, but I'm able to sit back and lean back and enjoy his act of love and his act of service to the fullest. Either scenario, guess what? I still have to clean up. But with the scenario number one where I'm micromanaging, he didn't get the full effect of giving this love to us, and I didn't get the full effect of enjoying his act of service because I was micromanaging and trying to clean. With the second one, I let him do this for us. I received it, I appreciated it, I enjoyed it, and then I cleaned up. So if both scenarios, if the natural consequences that I still have to clean up, then why not just lean back and enjoy the experience first, right? And it seems pretty obvious, but sometimes it's like you just don't see it in that moment. You just don't see it. Killian said the cooking, oh my God, I'm the same way. You guys can relate to that, right? So Killian, what I would say to you that in either scenario, if you have to clean up, then why not just sit back and let them make the mess and let them do this? And I've noticed that the more I'm relaxing and more I'm appreciating him. So instead of coming under him and cleaning while he's cooking, I come now and I grab him and I give him a kiss on the cheek while he's cooking. And I'm like, thank you so much for doing. You should see his face versus me like cleaning up, like lifting his arm and cleaning up under him while he's cooking. It's a different experience. It doesn't take away the fact that I still have to clean, but such is life, right? I mean, you win some, you lose some. So I'm really learning. Again, this goes back to, guys, you know how I've always said since day one of my YouTube channel, we don't control other people. We don't own other people. We can only change our own behavior and control our own thoughts and reactions. And so in both scenarios, nothing has changed. He's still cooking, I'm still cleaning, but the receiving part and the giving part and the appreciation part changes everything, doesn't it? It changes everything. And the more you're likely to enjoy and appreciate those things, the more that trickles into other things. The more I'm appreciating him, the more he wants to do more things, the more I'm doing, it's a whole trickling effect into everything. It's an eye-opening thing. Thank you, Emily. Thank you for the compliment. Let's see. Eva said, I thought about printing out some teeth and leaving them all over her desk. So Eva, I would make it more of a kind of involving her kind of process where you're sitting down with her and saying, oh, I found this interesting video. I didn't even realize this is what happens when, where you guys are like partners in it, and then maybe leave one picture somewhere. But in this way, it almost seems kind of passive aggressive, more? Okay, go lay down. I'll be right there. Guys, I'm so sorry. One more tiny interruption. I'll be right back. It does look like a castle. Okay. All right, let's see. Killian says, surprisingly though, my husband cleaned the entire kitchen last night because I wasn't there. I was putting the kids to bed. That is awesome. So see, when you're not micromanaging, then I guess they know what to do. I think, Killian, this goes back to the other point that I was making about how when we allow them the space to step up, they will step up. Think about it. If you are being micromanaged and constantly being told you're doing everything incorrectly or how you could do things better, or somebody's watching, you're going to do a half-assed job than if you were left to do it and given the space to do it correctly. Like, same thing with my children. When I have a 3-step rule. So, and I know some of you guys previously, I've done videos, people said that this wouldn't work with your kids, but I have a 3-step rule where I will show something to my children one time by doing it, one time I'll do it with them, and the third time I'll watch them doing it, and then I will step back and let them make the mistakes and learn how to do it. And if they make their mistakes, I feel like those are the best teachers anyways, because I can't anticipate everything and see how they will react or what mistakes they will make, but they can just learn through it. So I think same thing it goes with our spouses, is that I love that, Killian, though. I really like that he stepped up when you gave him the space to do so. Let's see. Okay, Stephanie Rodriguez, I think I missed that one. Stephanie said, Mina, I know that this is off topic, but what do you think about self-sabotage? Like, when I have a goal, I end up sabotaging myself with things that are going well, and I don't go through with the goal sometimes. Stephanie, this is a great question, and actually it goes back to that inner work. This is not off topic, it's exactly on topic. And we all do this. So sometimes, not sometimes, what happens through our childhood, not sometimes, most of us have these, is that we come to have false beliefs that we lead with us through the rest of our life. So for example of this is that if you grew up with parents that were always bad with money, spending everything that you had, they maybe had debt, and they made comments such as, money is so hard to make, money doesn't grow on trees, money goes so easily, I don't know, we can't afford this, things like this. You, without realizing it, in your head, you may have the false belief that money is very hard to earn, it's very hard to keep, I'm never going to be able to earn money, it's always going to be a struggle. So when you have these beliefs, what happens is that they're subconscious, they're your core beliefs. And so the minute you start earning money and the minute that starts flowing in, that part of you, because it's subconsciously stronger and it agrees with who you are because it's become your core, you will self-sabotage the money coming in some way. You'll either get fired or you will do something to sabotage that, because it's so much easier for your being to be like, see, I knew I couldn't do it. I knew money was hard to make, than to face that challenge, face that core belief. It takes more work. So the best way they say to undo these behaviors is first to become aware of them. So this is something that you're aware of. So that's the first step. Secondly is you go back and you do the inner work. So one way I have done this is by creating affirmations. So whatever the opposite of your self-sabotaging behavior is. For example, if you notice that you keep attracting the same type of man over and over again in relationships, and then you keep saying, oh, all the good ones are taken, all men are jerks, men are dogs, like every man does this. Anytime you hear yourself saying always, I can't, this always happens, or every time, any of those trigger words, I've posted a whole bunch of these on my Facebook page and my private group. I'm blanking on them now. But anytime you notice that happening, you create affirmations for the opposite words. And what affirmations are is that they help shape your subconscious beliefs. They replace those thoughts. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I only attract the losers. I'll never make enough money. Money is hard to make. So you do the opposite. You say, so if you have love issues, you say, I am deserving and worthy of love. I am complete and whole person. If you have money issues, you say, money comes easily and frequently. I am a money magnet. And you repeat those on a daily basis, before bed, after bed. You write them down. You surround your life to live that opposite belief system. What happens is that over time, it replaces that negative belief system that you have been hanging on to. Some other ways to do it is people hire life coaches to help them through this stuff. You may be able to read, again, parenting book, childhood books, do the inner work. You could and I'm not saying do any one. Sometimes you have to do a lot of them depending on how deep rooted your inner belief system is. But I am here to tell you that you can undo them. The first step is being aware, and it seems like you're already aware of them because you're noticing them. Self-sabotage is very common, it's very strong, and a lot of us do it because it's so much easier to be agreeing with your core beliefs, even if they're wrong, even if they're false, than it is to stand up against them by overcoming. Do you see what I mean with that? So this is a very interesting topic, and it's one that I'm recognizing. For example, I'll give you guys an example of this. When I was little, I was bullied a lot in school, and I was shy, and I wasn't very outgoing. I didn't have very good I didn't have confidence enough to be a good public speaker and stuff. And so it really affected me in school until this one teacher that I think it was in 7th or 8th grade, he really changed my life. He would always put me on the spot, so basically public speaking confidence was not my strong point. So I really overcame that, right? Through the help of this one teacher that really made me look at it a different way. And not only was I able to overcome it, every day routinely, not bragging or anything like this, I'm very humbled by this. Every single day I have comments from you guys saying that you are such a great speaker and things like that. So this is something that I'm really proud of and I've overcome. I noticed that when I was in presence of a family member, they would constantly keep reminding me of all the times in my previous life when I messed up public speaking. And I was really confused by this because this is something that I've really overcome and gotten over. I thought, right? I'm like really confident in this now. And every time I'm in this presence of this family member, they're reminding me of all the things I said stupidly before. They even went as far as to, in front of other people, say how everybody always makes fun of me, that I'm a horrible speaker, that I am always tripping over my words. And in that moment, I felt this really strange energy come up. I was just really embarrassed. We were in the company of some new people that did not know me very well. They had just met me a couple of times, and I just felt this extreme, like, just shame. And I remember saying, I've really been able to overcome this. People tell me that I'm a great public speaker, and I felt like that was it was very defensive, and I just could not understand it. And it really bothered me about this person that they have taken such great effort to try to remind me every single time that I meet them about what a horrible speaker I am. And how I'm always tripping over my words, and how everybody's always making fun of me. And I kept sitting with that. And then it dawned on me that it has nothing to do with this family member, and everything to do with the fact that maybe I'm not fully over this because I got triggered by it. If I really did believe to my core that I am an excellent public speaker, and that I am clear with my words, and I'm able to deliver my message to you guys clearly, then I wouldn't have been triggered. And so I added that as an affirmation in my it's a recent affirmation. So sometimes what happens is that we're able to fake it till we make it. Maybe some way I have overcome it. Maybe in some way I didn't overcome it in a way where I remember that feeling of shame when she was saying this, and I just felt like myself kind of like sinking in. And so I realized that this may be a subconscious belief of mine that maybe I'm not good enough, right? And so in public speaking. And so I made this an affirmation that I am a strong, confident person that's able to clearly relay my message to the people. And at the end of the day, what I always teach is that I don't have to be perfect at something. Maybe I am horrible at public speaking. Maybe I'm the worst. But the truth is that every single day I'm able to come on here, put myself on the line, despite this being a imperfection of mine, and be vulnerable enough to show up and deliver my message and connect with you guys. And maybe I do it imperfectly, but I do it regardless. And that's the important thing, is that showing up and being vulnerable enough to embrace our imperfections. But sometimes if you are triggered by some things, those are the things, let the other person out of it and say, why was I triggered by this in this moment? And I deal with it by putting out positive affirmations of the opposite thing, and saying them and believing them, and just letting that feeling sink in. Let's see. Oh, Candles, awesome. First time to have you here. Awesome. Absolutely, Stephanie, anytime. Stephanie said, Lisa Nichols says to write down our limiting beliefs, and then every day write your truth underneath every single day. I absolutely love Lisa Nichols, and I absolutely love that. So I don't write down the limited belief. I like that idea. I really do, and I think you guys should do it. But I have this fear, because of my positive thinking background and law of attraction, then if I don't want to write down anything negative, because writing it down to me puts it in stone. I'm weird, sorry, but I think she's correct. So what I do is I just think about that and put the opposite and write that down, and I just make that my truth. And I actually started my notes in my phone where I have my affirmations. I started, the first line of that is, my truth is. And because that is my truth, I'm not even going to give any attention, any ink to the negative aspect of it, because the minute that I said the opposite of that, which is my truth, I forgot the other thing. I'm just going to believe in that. Stephanie, so I did do a video on that. I have a whole playlist of several videos, and they're called something about confidence and public speaking. Yes, it's like so cold now. I'm always drinking my coffee cold. I think that's like every mom, right? True Beauty said, I need to practice affirmations more daily. It helps so much. You post them on I Attract. Yes, I do post them on my private Facebook group, but I want you to feel free to make them your own. And affirmations really need to come from you. So use mine as a guide, and but they need to be something that you can completely relate to, that are true to you. And because remember, you're trying to undo your own subconscious beliefs, not mine. So you need to put them in your own words, but use mine as inspiration. I have, people that I look up to, and I see them posting affirmations or something. I take theirs, and I make them my own. Put them in words that mean something to me. Too Much Fun said, oh my God, this sounds like an ebook by RR that I have been trying to share with a coworker. Her hubby is a stay-at-home father, but that's not what she wants, and her older kids don't respect him either. So I don't know what RR means, but that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess in here it's that role reversal of feminine versus masculine energy. And I'm not saying that it can't be done, but again, both, it's that balance of energy, and it seems like they're both, it's like role reversal. She's imbalanced in her masculine versus feminine, and he's imbalanced in his masculine versus feminine. Another great read is Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. I'll have to write that down. I'm always looking for good books. So right now I'm at a point where I have 3 or 4 books in queue that I ordered that are arriving to me. And so I have a rule that if I have a certain number of books stacked up, I will not buy or check out or read any other books before I finish those. Otherwise, there's always a long pile, right? I love reading, and there just aren't enough hours in the day. So right now, when I finish those, then I will definitely be adding this to my list. So let me see if there were any other questions that I missed. I think I did good. I think I got all of those. Express Revealed had said, I so love those 2 suggestions, Mina, natural consequences and perspective. Will whatever this no-no is really result in a major catastrophe? Absolutely, yes. Awesome. So guys, I think I pretty much covered all of them. Yes, Too Much Fun. Oh yes, that's somebody that I've been listening to as well. Too Much Fun said RR stands for Rory Ray, Modern Siren. Yes, I just discovered her via one of her YouTube interviews, and I want to get her ebook for sure. But that's in my to buy after I get through the ones that I already bought. I have a strict rule against that. Otherwise, I just let it go crazy where I just have 20 books and I'm always buying more books. So that's on my list to buy. I am absolutely in awe with her work. Rory Ray is this amazing life coach, and she has amazing programs. She has an ebook. I keep going to her site every day saying, oh, I want to buy the ebook so bad, but I promised myself that I would not buy any books until I read the ones that I already had. So that's on my list. If you guys want to grab it, definitely grab it. She is really big on that feminine versus masculine energy. She teaches women how to date and how to attract that ideal mate, and she's amazing. Hashi, so I ordered 4 or 5 books from eBay. I don't remember all of the names, but so right now, here's what's happening. I'm on the last chapter of You Are a Badass that I had gotten from the airport, like I mentioned in a different video. I'm gonna finish that today. Then I'm going to reread the book, The Conscious Parent. I read that a few years ago, but I read that to help my children, and I feel like I'm going to reread it now to help myself. I need to reread it again. After that, I'm going to reread, I have 2 books by Brené Brown, Daring Greatly and The Gifts of Imperfections. So I've read those 2 books, but I'm going to reread them again, and then I'm going to reread 2 other books that she's written since then. I believe one is Braving the Wilderness, and there's another one, something about courage. So what I would suggest to you guys is, if you want to really start with the inner work, I would start with the parenting books first, then move to Brené Brown's books on vulnerability, shame, courage, Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. There's a great book by Lisa Nichols that I've recommended below. So do the inner work first. Then when you get to the relationship part, I highly recommend the book that Too Much Fun just recommended. Rory Ray is amazing. Another couple of YouTubers that I'm obsessed with right now are Candice Onida. She has a YouTube channel. And Sammy Wonder. Sammy, SAMIWUNDER. Amazing. Afterwards, maybe when this goes live in the replay, I will try to put links up for these channels. Amazing girl. She is a dating and relationship expert, and I'm also a part of her private Facebook group. And I've just discovered these girls and they're just fantastic. I'm learning so much from them. So a lot of their programs are a little pricey. So I'm trying to see if I can do the inner work myself first and then maybe splurge and buy some of their more expensive programs. So that's where I am right now. Allison said, love Breen Brown, just got done with Power of Vulnerability, so insightful. She is just fantastic. I'm trying to see if there's any way to go see her because she actually is at the University of Houston here. So her work is just amazing. If you guys are not into reading, find her on YouTube. There's so many great, she has a TED Talk, Breen Brown, and she has amazing interviews. You just learn so much. I love reading, but I also love watching some of my favorite authors do interviews and TED Talks and stuff because it gives you like that whole full level communication, and I really enjoy that. Let's see. Yes, definitely go check those out, the YouTube recommendations. Candice Onida has so many amazing YouTube videos on feminine energy. I've watched all of her videos twice. That's how good she is. Also, Sammy Wonder, a lot of her YouTube videos are more for dating than, but she is married and she has a child, and I know she has a program on Soulmates Forever. It's a little pricey for what I want to spend right now, especially because I have so many books waiting for me to read. So I promised myself that if I read through the books that I have on my to-do list first, and I read through all of those, and then the two that I want to get from Breen Brown, and then the one from Rory Ray, then maybe I can splurge on one of her programs. So that's where I am, guys. I will let you guys go now and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, True Beauty, for suggesting Coffee with Mina. I'm really enjoying this new series, and also if you guys would let me know in the comments below other recommendations of videos that you guys want to see on this topic, and I also in my private Facebook group. So anything you guys put in the chat box, it actually disappears, so I don't get to read it later. So put it in the comments or put it in my private Facebook group. Thank you so much. Love you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye. Nini, you said bye?